¿Qué tal, comunidad? Aquí es su abogado Rey Ibarra Maldonado. Como siempre, un gusto, un anuncio nuevo hoy del presidente Biden sobre asilo, sobre la frontera y especialmente por 4 países que él está enfocando. Si tiene interés en este tema, por favor compartir ese video, darnos un like y como siempre, si tiene pregunta, ahí puede poner un comentario. Voy a empezar en inglés, después voy a poner abajo donde empieza en español. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, new news today from President Biden. We heard about Biden a lot in the campaign trail. Immigration reform, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. My first day in office, I'm going to do this, and we're going to change the world. First day in office. And he announced it, and he put out a plan, and then it's kind of been radio silence ever since then about immigration. Well, today he spoke up about it. Today he gave us an action plan that he's coming forward with. And it is good news for some people, right? Let's get this up here. So we have the fact sheet here from the White House talking about what they're trying to do with the new enforcement action. So let's start with the good, all right? The good. If you're from Nicaragua, if you're in right now, let's put it this way, if you're in Nicaragua, in Cuba, in Haiti, or Venezuela, you can be one of 30,000 people a month, and yes, I'll do this in Spanish too, right? 30,000 people a month that can get humanitarian parole to come into the United States. This is what I applaud this. This is wonderful. This is great. A legal avenue that people can actually apply. They're going to have to find a U.S. citizen or permanent resident sponsor. That person's going to have to go through a background check to make sure there's not, human trafficking going on. The person in one of those 4 countries is going to have to get a background check. There's going to be a process. They're creating their own website for it. You can go to the website right now, and here's what it says, right? Parole processes for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. Again, this was just announced today, Thursday, January 5th, 2023. And they say check back tomorrow to see if they have the application portal open. So it's usas.gov, and you just got to remember the first letters of each country: C for Cuba, H for Haiti, and Nicaragua, V Venezuela. The application is going to be right here on this page. Right now, great news for those 4 folks, for those 4 countries, 30,000 people from those countries. Let's go into a little bit more detail about the bad. If from those 4 countries, someone comes across the U.S.-Mexico border, comes into Mexico, or goes into Panama even, they're going to be precluded from this program. Anybody sitting at the border right now, likely precluded from this program, waiting to come in. They're really talking to people who haven't come yet and saying if you're from one of those 4 countries, you can find a sponsor, you can figure out how to apply, then you can be one of the lucky 30,000. Everybody else that comes across, we're going to deny. We're going to keep using Title 42. When Title 42 is over, we're going to start using expedited order of removals, which is different than they usually do a voluntary departure, and we're going to make it more difficult. They even implemented or asking to implement a regulation that has to do with Trump. Like literally, Biden is saying they want to have a new regulation that, again, they're asking for comments for right now, just announced today, that if you don't ask for asylum in a country prior to coming to the U.S., you shouldn't be allowed to get asylum here. That is a Trump idea. There's no way around that. That was the Trump administration implementation, and Biden's bringing it back. And Biden's saying, welcome back, Trump, and your anti-immigrant politics. Let me put that in place in my first move, directly addressing immigration as president, right? So good news for, again, 30,000 people from those 4 countries. Bad news for poor people from those countries. Bad news for poor people and really middle class, whoever's trying to come from Mexico, Central America, or anywhere else. Because they're sending more resources to the border, more judges, more enforcement. They're looking to use expedited order of removal. They're looking to implement to make it harder to ask for asylum. So if you're not from one of those four countries with access to someone that's already in the U.S., it's much harder for you now, starting today, right? So you might see some confliction in me. Hopefully you see some confliction, because when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, well, that's great. These four countries, 30-some people, yes, we can help them out. Awesome, I love it. And then you read about it more, the other stuff they're doing, and you're like, oh, yeah, that person I visited in Eloy the other day, it's going to make it harder for anybody in their family to come in the future. People that are waiting at the border right now, yeah, it doesn't make it any easier for them. They are announcing, in addition to the four countries I mentioned, they're announcing an app, right? Can you imagine there's an app for that being told at the border now, where if you are at the border, you're not from one of these four countries, you can log on to the app. I haven't tried it myself yet. I'll probably do it right after this video. And you can get in line to apply for asylum at the port of entry. You can kind of get in the waiting list. And years past, when I've gone down to the border area, they usually literally have like nonprofit organizations having an Excel sheet on some volunteer's laptop to assign a number of when they were supposed to come back to the port of entry. So it's good to see they're using technology and they're using, hopefully a more organized system where people don't have to wait in the borderlands, if they can even wait somewhere in the interior and come up closer when it's their day to apply. That's good news. I hope it works. So I like that positive step in that right direction, right? Questions, comments, concerns, please throw them on down here. No problem. Thanks for tuning on there on the YouTube. The four countries that are benefiting is Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti. Venezuela already has it, right? So it's basically the Biden administration is saying, hey, we tried this with Venezuela. We opened up this program where people can come and be paroled in if they stay in their country of origin. And it worked, right? The numbers dropped from I'm just throwing them out, this is not accurate. It's like from 30,000 a month to 7,000 a month, people from Venezuela, because they wanted to apply for this program. So now they're saying, hey, that worked successfully. Let's open it up to Nicaragua, Cuba, and Haiti, right? Nicaragua, Cuba, and Haiti. And here's one of my thoughts on this that Liz is sharing with us here. It's always for those countries. When are they going to do something for Mexico? How about people who have been living here in the U.S. for years and pay taxes, have contributed to the economy for years, have kids born here in the U.S.? It's so unfair. Happy for those people to take advantage of visas at the same time as sex, because that'll benefit people already here. It's so discouraging. Liz, that's the conflict in me. I feel the exact same way. And it's not just for people that are here and deserve immigration reform and deserve a path to citizenship, but it's also the people who are in those four countries that don't have access to someone in the United States. Is really, like I said, from Venezuela, there's still 7,000 people that came. Because when you're poor and you're fleeing your country in fear, you might not have time, right, to make those connections in the U.S., or you might not already have somebody living in the U.S., which makes it more difficult for those folks to even come across. And, they're not saying, hey, let's take the 4,000 people who have the most compelling cases that present for asylum. They're saying, let's see who has the access to someone already in the U.S. and knows how to submit an application or can figure out submit an application online. Those are the folks that we're going to take. So yes, I'm very happy for the 30,000 folks from Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela that will not have to risk their life, that will not have to risk death coming through the desert or traveling through Mexico or Central America. That is great. And again, I applaud Biden for making that effort. Why can't we open that up? If you have the parole power and that's what you're using, why can't you open that up to Mexico? Why can't you open it up to Central America? And why can't we sit down and figure out immigration reform for those of us that are here in the United States as well? So, good news and bad news from the Biden administration today. Again, there's a website that's going to be put out, and I'm happy to put these links down here below. Let me see if I can get them back up again. There's a lot of newspaper articles on it now. You can just Google it; it'll come out. There's also the White House. The one I had up earlier was the White House statement. This one is the CBP statement. All right, I think they've been hearing a lot from people. What's your plan after Title 42 ends? So this is what they announced today. Here's their plan. Right, they're gonna do the Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, Venezuelan access, similar that Ukraine also has as well. They're announcing the CBP1 app for those who aren't from those countries to schedule an appointment at the port of entry. And they are making efforts to make it more difficult, essentially, to apply for asylum if you don't go through the app, if you come through a non-place of port of entry, or if you don't apply in another country before coming to the United States. They're sending more resources to the border in terms of immigration judges, CBP officers, et cetera, and they're giving money to Mexico and Central America to deal with migration, and Mexico's agreed to take in up to 30,000 of people from these 4 countries, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, being repatriated or being sent back to Mexico, whereas before they had. So that's another new change. Basically saying, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, you want a chance to come in, you got to do it online. You come to the port of entry, we're going to send you right back to Mexico. That's the gist. That's how they're trying to get the numbers down from these 4 countries. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, throw it on up. I'm going to switch over to El Espanol, but as always, feel free to ask a question in whatever language you so choose. Right? So, comunidad, noticias hoy del presidente Biden sobre migración. Él está anunciando cosas buenas por algunas personas de Nicaragua, de Cuba, de Haití, de Venezuela. Si usted está viendo este video o tiene familia ahí, por favor, manda ese video a ellos porque sí es algo muy, muy bueno. Hay como 30,000 personas cada mes que pueden beneficiar de ese nuevo programa que el presidente anunció hoy mismo, enero 5 de 2023. Si usted vive en Nicaragua, Cuba, Haití, Venezuela, es muy importante si quiere venir a Estados Unidos, no vienes cruzando la frontera. Si pisas a Panamá, si pisas a México, va a ser inelegible por ese programa. Están anunciando una página de web de probablemente empezando mañana. Usted puede ir, déjeme ver dónde está, aquí está, y agarrar más información de cómo aplicar. La página aquí, uscis.gov, y luego /CHNV. Eso es para Cuba, Haití, Nicaragua, Venezuela. En esta página mañana probablemente tiene más información de cómo puede aplicar. Lo que han dicho a nosotros ahorita es que va a tener que tener un sponsor en los Estados Unidos, que es residente o ciudadano, va a tener que hacer un background check a esa persona. También usted va a tener que hacer un background check en su país de origen y puede mandar su solicitud por esta página de web que está anunciando hoy el gobierno de Estados Unidos. Si ganas un humanitarian parole, es permiso para entrar por 2 años. Tienen que pagar todavía su avión y su viaje y todo eso, pero entras y vas a tener también un permiso de trabajo por 2 años. No es camino de residencia, no es camino de ciudadanía, es nada más humanitarian parole por 2 años. El presidente sí puede extender eso, pero también el presidente lo puede negar a extender, y si gana otro presidente, pues lo puede cancelar el programa completamente. Pero sí es algo bueno por, ojalá, 30,000 personas cada mes de esos 4 países que ya no tienen que arriesgar tanto en venir a la frontera de Estados Unidos. Y actualmente, si vienes, va a tener problemas muy grandes. No va a estar elegible por ese programa, lo van a empezar a dar deportaciones rápidos y lo van a poner lo más difícil a ganar un caso de asilo, porque van a decir que tiene que aplicar primero en otro país antes que llegar a Estados Unidos. ¿Qué significa? En Costa Rica, México, cualquier otro país, usted va a tener que demostrar que aplicó ahí y lo negaron. Si tiene un caso de asilo, pues lo van a dar en uno de esos países también. Entonces no hay motivo de venir aquí. Son muy buenas noticias por algunas personas en esos 4 países. Ya voy al negativo, ¿verdad? El negativo también es que están anunciando de cómo van a manejar los casos después del título 42. Lo van a seguir usando el título 42. Si viene de uno de esos 4 países y intentas a cruzar, intentas a pedir asilo, lo van a de todos modos decirle, vas a México, porque ya tiene un acuerdo con México, que México va a aceptar 30,000 personas, el mismo número cada mes, de personas de esos países, para que ya no puedan entrar a Estados Unidos. Si me habló antes, ayer, yo podía decir, si vienen uno de esos países, probablemente le van a dar parole cuando entras a Estados Unidos. He visto muchos casos. Ya no puedo hacer eso, estoy diciendo el opuesto. Si vienes a Estados Unidos de uno de esos 4 países y aplicas, lo van a negar y lo van a mandar probablemente a México y va a estar castigado. Cuando ya termina el título 42, nada más le van a empezar a hacer deportaciones rápidos. En vez de dar chance de quedar aquí, lo van a decir, usted tiene un expedited order of removal, es como una deportación de un juez, pero firmado por un agente de migración, no un abogado ni un juez, y usted es deportado a México, o su país de origen, perdón, y estás castigado por 5 años a intentar hacer algo para venir y regresar legalmente al país. Entonces, muy importante, Nicaragua, Cuba, Haití, Venezuela, si tiene amigos, familiares, o usted mismo viven ahí, que ya no intentes a cruzar sin permiso, busque la manera de entrar y aplicar por este programa nuevo que anunció el presidente Biden. Si es de México, Nicaragua, perdón, México, Centroamérica, estoy hablando de Guatemala, El Salvador, pues sigue igual, pero un poco más difícil, ¿verdad? Lo van a hacer el acceso más limitado. Está intentando hacer el acceso más limitado a asilo y lo está intentando hacerlo más duro en la frontera para cruzar. So, no me gusta en todo el anuncio de hoy. Otra vez sí estoy muy satisfecho por los amigos de esos 4 países que sí pueden aplicar, pero a la misma vez estoy bien enojado porque lo están haciendo el proceso más difícil para gente con bajos recursos. Aunque si es en esos 4 países, si no conocen a alguien en Estados Unidos, pues no puede aplicar. Y si intentas entrar porque no sabe de este anuncio, lo van a negar. Y desafortunadamente no lo están abriendo a México, a Guatemala, a otros países que aquí en Arizona los vemos con mucha frecuencia, gente intentando entrar con casos muy válidos y muy fuertes, ¿verdad? So, cualquier pregunta, comentario que tienes, nos manda aquí o manda texto o WhatsApp 602-910-4040 y con gusto podamos ayudar a saber más cómo este va a afectar usted y su familia. Que tiene un muy excelente día. Nos vemos, comunidad.